This story was never about water. That's the comfortable mistake. People remember rain, they remember animals, they remember a boat. But the most disturbing part of this story is not the flood itself. It's the moment someone decides the world is no longer worth correcting. Before a single drop falls, the story makes a quiet, absolute claim. The earth was corrupt. That's all. No list of crimes, no breakdown of guilt, no explanation of what line was crossed. Just a diagnosis. And when a diagnosis becomes total, punishment stops being corrective and becomes eliminative. This is not a story about bad behavior. It's a story about declaring failure. Not, they did wrong, but they are wrong. And once a system reaches that conclusion, reform is no longer possible. Only replacement. That is when Noah appears. Not as a hero, not as a reformer, not as a voice trying to save the world, but as an exception. The only one deemed acceptable, the only one allowed to continue, the only one spared deletion. And the story never explains why. No public act of courage, no moral stand in front of others, no visible resistance to corruption. Just a verdict. He is righteous. The rest are not. And the silence around that distinction is deliberate. Because when selection criteria are invisible, authority feels unquestionable. No one can argue with rules they are never shown. The world is not warned. It is not educated. It is not invited to change. Life continues as usual. People work, families grow, time passes. And in the middle of all of it, a structure begins to rise. Noah builds, not in secret, not underground, in the open. For years, possibly decades, a massive object slowly taking shape while everyone else keeps living. No explanations, no debates, no arguments, just wood, measurements, repetition. The construction of the ark is often described as faith, but psychologically, it is withdrawal. Noah does not engage with the world, he disengages from it. He does not confront corruption. He does not challenge anyone. He does not attempt repair. He prepares to outlast. That difference matters, because hope tries to change the future. Survival strategies wait for the present to collapse. Every detail of the ark is specified. Exact dimensions, exact materials, exact ratios. There is no flexibility, no interpretation, no room for conscience to interfere. Noah is not asked to understand the plan. He is not asked to agree with it. He is not asked how he feels about it. He is asked to follow it. Perfectly. This is not moral obedience. It is procedural obedience. And procedural obedience does not require belief. It only requires compliance. At no point is Noah shown wrestling with doubt. At no point does he argue for mercy. At no point does he look back. The story is silent on purpose, because obedience becomes most powerful when it no longer needs justification. When the rain begins, the tone shifts. There are no speeches, no warnings shouted at the last moment, no dramatic reversals. The flood does not arrive with rage. It arrives with inevitability. Water rises, boundaries disappear, distances collapse, everything levels. The violent and the passive, the cruel and the indifferent, the guilty and the unaware. Total destruction does not discriminate. It simplifies. Inside the ark, life continues. There is order, there is structure, there is preservation. Outside, everything dissolves. And Noah hears it. He feels it. He knows what is happening. But he does not intervene. Because his role was never to save others. It was to ensure continuity, even if continuity requires silence. This is the most uncomfortable part of the story. The survival of the chosen is purchased not through action, but through non-interference. Not cruelty, absence. When the waters finally recede, the world does not recover. It resets. There is a difference. Recovery preserves memory. Resetting erases it. Noah steps onto an empty earth. No cities, no voices, no resistance. A world without friction. And the first act of the new beginning is not reflection. It is sacrifice. Blood touches clean ground, as if violence is required to consecrate order. Humanity is reduced to a single family, a single lineage, a single story. Diversity is gone. Alternatives are gone. Contradictions are gone. The world is stable and dangerously brittle. Because when everything is reduced to one version, failure has nowhere else to go. And the story proves this immediately. Noah, the righteous one, the survivor, the exception, breaks. He drinks. He loses control. He exposes himself. He is shamed. The first moral fracture of the new world comes from the man chosen to replace the old one. And the story does not explain it away. It does not soften it. It does not resolve it. It leaves it there, as if to suggest something deeply unsettling. That the flaw was never collective. It was structural. It was human. And floods do not remove that. The narrative continues, but the question is left open. If destruction did not fix the problem, what was actually achieved? The text refuses to answer. And that refusal is the point. Because this story never stayed in the past, it only changed form. Every time a society decides it cannot be repaired, an arc is designed. Every time a system declares itself beyond reform, selection begins. Some lives are categorized as essential, others as expendable, and someone is always following a plan. The flood does not always arrive as water. Sometimes it arrives as ideology, sometimes as policy, sometimes as efficiency, sometimes as silence. But the structure never changes.
Total diagnosis, moral certainty, procedural obedience, clean reset. And the most disturbing truth is this: destruction does not require hatred, only certainty. The certainty that starting over is easier than repairing what already exists. The certainty that obedience is enough. The certainty that survival proves righteousness. The rain eventually stops, but the logic does not. And every time someone believes the world would be better if it could simply begin again, this story starts over. Quietly, calmly, perfectly.